All right, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're doing a meticulous, step-by-step reconstruction of a massive modern aviation mystery. We're going to break down the flight data, the forensic evidence, and the expert analysis behind the truly tragic crash of Air India Flight 171. Let's just jump right into the facts.
So here's the central, honestly haunting question that's driving this entire investigation. How does a massive, highly advanced Boeing 787 Dreamliner, a literal marvel of modern engineering, just fall from the sky in exactly 34 seconds? I want you to step into the role of co-investigator with me for a bit. Let's look at the forensic clues and see what the data actually tells us about those final, terrifying moments.
Okay, let's start with the hard radar and air traffic control data, because the timeline here is incredibly tight. At 0 seconds, the plane takes off from runway 23 in Ahmedabad. Just 11 seconds later, it hits its maximum altitude. And guys, that was a mere 625 feet. It literally can't climb any higher. At 29 seconds, air traffic control gets a chilling mayday call and the descent begins. By 34 seconds, the aircraft impacts a medical college hostel about 1.5 kilometers away. Think about that, just 34 seconds from liftoff to total catastrophe.
Section 1. The forensic clues. Let's find those missing pieces.
Sometimes the biggest breaks in an investigation come from the most unlikely places. To figure out why this happened, investigators relied on a crucial piece of visual evidence, a smartphone video filmed by a 17-year-old boy named Aryan from a nearby roof. His video revealed something absolutely shocking about the plane's wing flaps. Now, flaps are those aerodynamic surfaces on the back edge of a wing, right? They are explicitly supposed to be extended to give a heavy plane the lift it needs to take off. But Aryan's video clearly showed the flaps were completely retracted. And, making things even weirder, the landing gear was still down.
Now, human nature being what it is, the immediate theory a lot of people jump to was pilot error. Did they just panic? Did they retract the flaps instead of the landing gear by mistake? Well, hold on. The reality is that the Dreamliner is built with incredibly loud, persistent warning systems if your flaps are incorrectly set for takeoff. You can't miss them. On top of that, Captain Sabharwal and co-pilot Kundar were highly seasoned veterans. We're talking over 18,000 combined flying hours between them. Aviation experts are quick to point out that making such a basic, uncorrected error while heavy alarms are blaring is highly improbable for a crew with that kind of resume.
Section 2. Unpacking total power loss.
So if we logically rule out basic pilot error, we're left with a catastrophic technical theory, and it's one that actually lines up perfectly with the visual evidence. We're talking about a total power loss of both engines. And this brings us to a tiny, really easily missed detail in that teenager's video. Experts poring over the footage spotted a very specific object deployed beneath the plane. It's called a RAT, or ram air turbine. The easiest way to think of it is like a small emergency windmill. It drops out of the belly of the plane automatically, but only during a total electrical failure, spinning in the wind to generate bare minimum backup power just so you can use critical flight controls.
This is where all the forensic clues suddenly lock together like a giant puzzle. First, we have the visual of that deployed RAT, and there's actually even audio of a propeller sound in the video. Then we have testimony from the sole survivor, Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, who reported hearing a loud bang followed by flickering cabin lights right after takeoff. Those are classic, textbook signs of the RAT deploying and stealing reserve power. We also have that stuck landing gear, because there was simply no power to pull it up. And finally, we have the tragic mayday call from the pilots explicitly stating, "thrust not achieved." It all unequivocally points to a massive power failure.
Section 3. The root causes. Let's look at 3 technical theories.
Look, a total dual-engine failure is virtually unheard of. It's an incredibly rare event that has only happened about 7 times in the last 70 years of commercial aviation. So why did it happen here? Based on the source data, experts have laid out 3 neutral, scientifically plausible theories. Theory number 1, fuel contamination. Things like water, debris, or incorrect fluids could have clogged the engines. This definitely places a lot of scrutiny on the 3 fuel suppliers at the Ahmedabad airport. Theory number 2, a total electrical failure stemming from a starter generator malfunction. And theory number 3, a catastrophic mechanical or maintenance defect.
Let's zoom in on how that second theory, a total electrical failure, actually plays out in real time. It's a really rapid cascade. First, the starter generators fail. Second, without any power, the electronic engine controls completely shut down. Now, the plane does have a backup system, the auxiliary power units, or APUs. But here is the fatal flaw in this scenario. Those backups take up to 90 seconds to fully activate. And if you remember our timeline, AI-171 was only in the air for 34 seconds. They simply didn't have the runway, literally and figuratively, for the backups to kick in, resulting in a complete loss of thrust control.
Section 4. The corporate context. Let's examine the systemic warnings. To truly grasp the scope of this tragedy, we have to pull back and neutrally examine the documented, systematic context surrounding both Air India and Boeing. If we look strictly at the maintenance record of this exact aircraft, the red flags are, well, they're significant. In November 2021, it suffered a fuel leak that forced an emergency landing. It had a known history of battery overheating issues. In fact, just hours before the crash, a passenger filmed a video showing the plane's air conditioning and electrical screens completely failing. Add in the fact that the DGCA recently discovered Air India had submitted fake safety audit reports in July 2023, and a pretty concerning picture of operational struggle really begins to form.
And then there's the manufacturing side of things. The source material points to some severe, heavily documented allegations from within Boeing itself. John Barnett, a former quality manager at Boeing with 30 years of experience, famously stated on the record, and I quote, "There is not a single plane that has left the factory that I would consider safe and airworthy." He repeatedly warned that parts were being assembled improperly and that debris was literally being left inside the aircraft during production.
And the allegations actually get even more specific regarding Air India. Cynthia Kitchens, another former quality manager at Boeing, alleged that between 2012 and 2013, 11 highly defective planes were produced. She claimed the quality was so incredibly poor it was keeping her awake at night. When she confronted her boss asking if he would put his own children on these planes, the alleged response was, "None of these planes stay in America. They're all going overseas. What are you, serious?" According to the sources, 6 of those 11 allegedly defective planes were sold directly to Air India.
Now here is where the timeline gets downright chilling. The whistleblower we just talked about, John Barnett, had previously warned that manufacturing negligence wouldn't just cause planes to immediately fall out of the sky on day one. He predicted it would take roughly 10 to 12 years of wear and tear for a catastrophic failure to actually occur. Well, the A171 Dreamliner was delivered to Air India on January 31, 2014. On the exact day it crashed, it was exactly 11 years old. It perfectly, tragically aligns with that predicted timeline for disaster.
Take a breath for a second because it is absolutely crucial we ground our investigation back into the sobering reality of what this data represents. This wasn't just some machine failing in a vacuum, it was a devastating human tragedy. The plane crashed directly into a crowded medical hostel during a lunch break. While official tolls are still pending, current estimates place the fatalities at over 270 people. Out of every single soul on board that aircraft, there was only one miraculous survivor.
In the world of aviation safety, there's a concept known as the Swiss cheese model. It basically states that massive disasters are almost never the result of one single, isolated error. Instead, they happen when multiple layers of defense, maintenance, manufacturing, safety checks all fail at exactly the same time. It's like the holes in Swiss cheese perfectly aligning to let a disaster slip through. As we all wait for the official 30-day preliminary report dropping on July 12th, we're really left to ask, when systemic failures from multiple massive corporations align so tragically, who is truly accountable? I encourage you to keep questioning, keep learning, and keep demanding answers. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I'll see you next time.